And the sovereign sent, and they gathered all the elders of Yehuda and Jerusalem to him. And the sovereign went up to the house of Yahweh with all the men of Yehuda, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the Kohanim and the Nebiim, and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant, which had been found in the house of Yahweh. And the sovereign stood by the column and made a covenant before Yahweh, to follow Yahweh and to guard his commands, and his witnesses and his laws, with all his heart and all his being, to establish the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. Then the sovereign commanded Hilkiah the Kohen Haggadah, and the Kohanim of the second order, and the doorkeepers, to bring out of the Hekal of Yahweh all the objects that were made for Baal, and for Asherah, and for all the host of the Shamaim. And he burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of Kedron, and took their ashes to Bethel. And he put down the black-robed priest, whom the sovereigns of Yehuda had appointed to burn incense on the high places in the cities of Yehuda, and in the places all around Jerusalem, and those who burn incense to Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the constellations, and to all the host of the Shamaim. And he brought out the Asherah from the house of Yahweh to the Wadai Kedron outside Jerusalem, and burned it at the Wadai Kedron, and ground it to ashes, and threw its ashes on the graves of the sons of the people. And he broke down the houses of the male cult prostitutes that were in the house of Yahweh, where the women wove tapestries for the Asherah. And he brought all the Kohanim from the cities of Yehuda, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Geba to Beersheba, and broke down the high places at the gates, which were at the entrance of the gate of Yehoshua, the governor of the city, which were to the left of the city gate. However, the priests of the high places did not come up to the altar of Yahweh in Jerusalem, but they ate unleavened bread among their brothers. And he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of Ben Hinnom, so that no man could make his son or his daughter pass through the fire to Molech. And he did away with the horses that the sovereigns of Yehuda had given to the sun, at the entrance of the house of Yahweh, by the room of Nathan Melech the eunuch, that were in the court. And he burned the chariots of the sun with fire, and the altars that were on the roof of the upper room of Ahaz, which the sovereigns of Yehuda had made, and the altars which Menashe had made, in the two courtyards of the house of Yahweh. The sovereign broke down, and rushed from there, and threw their dust into the Wadai Kedron. And the sovereign defiled the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mountain of destruction, which Shilamo, sovereign of Yisrael, built for Ashereth, the abominations of the Zidonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And he broke in pieces the pillars and cut down the Asherim, and filled their places with the bones of men, and also the altar that was at Bethel, and the high place which Yerubbaal son of Nebat made, by which he had made Israel sin. Both the altar and the high place he broke down, and he burned the high place, and ground it to dust, and burned the Asherah. Then Yoshiyahu turned, and saw the tombs that were on the mountain, and he sent and took the bones out of the tombs, and burned them on the altar, and defiled it according to the word of Yahweh, which the man of Elohim proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. And he said, What tombstone is this that I see? And the men of the city said to him, It is the tomb of the man of Elohim, who came from Yehuda, and proclaimed these matters, which you have done against the altar of Bethel. And he said, Let him alone, let no one move his bones. So they left his bones alone, with the bones of the Nebai, who came from Shomeron. And Yoshiyahu also took away all the houses of the high places that were in the cities of Shomeron, which the sovereigns of Israel had made to provoke. And he did to them according to all the deeds that he did in Bethel. And he slaughtered all the priests of the high places who were there on the altars, and burned men's bones on them. and went back to Jerusalem. And the sovereign commanded all the people, saying, Prepare the Pesach to Yahweh your Elohim, as it is written in this book of the covenant. For such a Pesach had not been prepared since the days of the rulers who ruled Yisrael, nor in all the days of the sovereigns of Yisrael and the sovereigns of Yehuda. But in the 18th year of sovereign Yoshiyahu, the Pesach was prepared before Yahweh in Jerusalem, and also Yoshiyahu put away those who consulted mediums and spiritists, and the household mighty ones and idols, and all the abominations that were seen in the land of Yehuda and in Jerusalem, in order to establish the words of the Torah, which were written in the book that Hilkiah the Cohen found in the house of Yahweh. And before him there was no sovereign like him, who turned back to Yahweh with all his heart, and with all his being, and with all his might, according to the Torah of Moshe. And after him none rose up like him. However, Yahweh did not turn from the fierceness of his great wrath, with which his wrath burned against Yehuda, because of all the provocations with which Manasseh had provoked him. And Yahweh said, Even Yehuda I shall remove from my presence, as I have removed Yisrael. And I shall reject this city Jerusalem, which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, My name is there. And the rest of the acts of Yoshiyahu, all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehuda? In his days, Pharaoh Necho, sovereign of Mitzrayim, went up against the sovereign of Ashur to the river Perath, and sovereign Yoshiyahu went out to him, and killed him at Megiddo when he saw him. And his servants conveyed his body in a chariot from Megiddo, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own tomb. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Yoshiyahu, and anointed him, and appointed him to reign in his father's place. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Yirmiyahu of Libnah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahweh, according to all his fathers did. And Pharaoh Necho imprisoned him at Riblah, in the land of Hamath, to keep him from reigning in Jerusalem. And he imposed on the land a fine of 100 kikars of silver and a kikar of gold. Pharaoh Necho appointed Eliakim, son of Yoshiyahu, to reign in the place of his father Yoshiyahu, and changed his name to Jehoiakim. And Pharaoh took Jehoahaz, and went to Mitzrayim, and he died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and gold to Pharaoh. Only he taxed the land to give silver according to the command of Pharaoh. He exacted silver and gold from the people of the land, from everyone according to his assessment, to give to Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zediah, the daughter of Pedaiah of Rumah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahweh, according to all his fathers did.